Alright, so not the most interesting week to be honest. We had choppy sideways spy action again, choppy-ish. We are kinda starting to smear the best level here, but didn't quite get to all-time high. I had two trades on the week. First one was AVAV on the 10th, which had a breakdown, a gap down breakdown. On some news with missed estimates and cuts to guidance. So not the not like close to 10 out of 10 bad news, but still pretty bad. So we've been backside for a while. We're now breaking down from the last lower low, and we're in the middle of this bearish range. So the last lower low is dead in the middle. So we'll break down of that in the middle of the range. To be honest, not the worst setup. Not super clean either, but not the worst. We've had a reverse ABCD here. I really am not liking this wick though. So reverse ABCD, candle 1, candle 2, playing within candle 2, although relatively extended, still playable. And I played it somewhat for a scalp, so there's that. 15-minute head, bit of a UTL, a bit of a level here with double touches. Nothing is super clean, to be fair. I just liked how we cleared all of this, and we only had this little wick to take care of. Intraday was quiet, choppy, and shit. Nevertheless, we still had lower low, and then here we didn't quite get a lower low. Even the timing wasn't the nicest, but at least we were like congregated here, and then started getting a bit tighter in here, and then we started going within this window. I would definitely have liked a bit of a 1 minute consolidation or just a minute pullback to 9 before we dump. That would have been a much better setup. Right now, this is between a half hour and a 0 hour trade, but I took it. Someone took it because there were no options. This was my first trade, and this is on Wednesday, I think. Definitely not a violation. This setup is worth half an hour, I think, but could even have been 0, maybe like 0.25 hours. Yeah, this is something that I would like get a bit more micro on. So I took the trade. 5-minute was also pretty nice with this little up wick here and then closing as a reverse hammer, then breaking down. I set a tight stop. I thought that if we were going to go, we should be going. Not necessarily the wisest decision given how choppy the stock was, but I thought, I don't know why I thought it, because these stocks often retest and then choppily trend downwards. So my stop placement wasn't really good here. It was acceptable because the level was quite nicely controlled. So yeah, again, a bit of an iffy situation there. But yeah, that was the trade in it. It lost, then it worked, got to my target. After a pullback, but would not have given a good risk reward to enter. So I was thinking about it here. But we already broke once, failed, now we broke twice, we're pulling back again. It's like not really something I want to take, PL, this was a very freaking nice setup. So I've been looking at it for for the break of this trend line. I really like the controlled move, the inside candles on the weekly. I don't really like how it's undercutting the MAs, but it got very nice. So a nice controlled downtrend, then starts getting tighter, starts getting sideways, and then it's breaking out. I was looking at it somewhere here for a breakout setup, but nothing really had volume up until this day where we got some news on raised guidance and expectations beat from losses to break even. Loss was the expectation, breaking was the actual number. So just pretty damn neat. 60-minute was acceptable, nothing really good. We set an IPH here and then just a weird slow uptrend, keeping a distance between 9 and price. And then we had a weak retest after a green candle. We had a weak retest and then a breakout of these levels or this area. So, well, no, not the worst, not the best. It's definitely more than acceptable for me given the a daily setup like this. So the retest of this area was very, very nice. It's outlined on this 15-minute chart. What I really loved about it was looking at the lower time frames. It's not the cleanest by any means. We actually started breaking. This was the actual high, by the way. So this was all-time high, I believe. Yes. So we got to there, rejected. So I'm not really liking that fake out there. Then we dump relatively low volume and start getting back up on slightly increasing volume, but still nothing crazy. So maybe that's a nuance that was important here, because after that I got my entry right after the 9 MA retest, which was also pre-market high-ish retest, and the 5 minute presented an engulfing. So I was like, okay, maybe this could squeeze. After an engulfing, we had a tiny red bar in the top third of this candle. So I was like, an engulfing, then a 3-bar play opportunity close to 9, and also 9 here. VWAP was kind of close, but didn't use that as a stop because I thought, okay, we could just squeeze here, bubble all-time high, but maybe the lack of volume here is what indicated that might just need a bit more consolidation. I don't know, I'm just spitballing here, but I think it is an important cue here. So then we had this downward trend line, broke that. I think ideally, in hindsight, what would have been better would have been a half-hour trade here, and maybe be willing to get stopped out at VWAP and then re-enter for half or 1 hour. If we get another setup like we did here with a downward trend line that got broken, could have used the same steps, so half hour here and then half hour or 1 hour here even. But I would not have used 1 hour because we were inside enough. So another half hour add here, keeping the stop loss at the same. And then I would have just let it ride the same way. I was a bit aggressive on partials. First one was at $17, which is around 2.5 hours. Nothing major, but like generally on a setup like this, I would not have taken that big a partial, but I would have taking more aggressive partials due to the market conditions. Not a lot of stuff is having all day runs. So took 50% here, 25% at 1750. I was also targeting 18 because we haven't really had, like the biggest day we had was this guy. And even that, I believe, had like, what, 2.2 bucks move, which on here would have been like 17.2. So it was already hitting the MDA. And I was like, okay, that's quite risky, but I'm still targeting it because we were looking nice, like proper nice. And we held 15-minute 9 cleanly. So I was targeting that for a 75% to all time to allow partial, but we did just get belly setting volume here. So took it off earlier, and then once we started rolling, by the way, I was using a structural trailing stop. So I moved my stop to here once we broke out from here. And then we had these few candle bounces. I moved my stop here, survived this little guy. And then we moved higher, moved my stop here, and then we moved higher from here, and moved my stop to here. That's where I got stopped out. So I think that was a pretty okay setup. I don't really think I should have risked more. Shorter time frames were just, or smaller time frames were just not really clean enough. I had PAS. Silver was breaking out on this day, which was I think Tuesday. Yeah, it was Tuesday. But a lot of them were kind of in shit places except for PAS. It had relative strength. It was very nice on the price action side of things, not so much on the volume. Like there's just definitely some missing volume from this up leg. Also, the decline on the volume on the pullback, also not something that I'm liking that much. So we have this, and then we have a very clean 6-minute downward trend line / descending triangle. You do have a bit of an area around 46, so that's something to be aware of when entering the trade, but nevertheless, it's a very, very clean setup, and especially in the month. Like, look at this. Look how big this freaking breakout is. That's just very, very clean. So that does add some extra points to the setup for sure. Intraday, not really clean. I couldn't really get a good entry here. Like, this area maybe just below 45 would have been nice. So I think that's the one I would have used. We set a 1 minute orb round here, very shitty doji, then 2 inside candles that do add a little bit of extra conviction to the orb. So once we broke out, I could have entered stop loss at low of the day, see how we react to 46, and to let it trail structurally, or with the 5-minute IMA, which was respected very, very well. I'm not even sure where it ended up that day. So it ended up going to 48, 57, 48, 75. So yeah, basically here. So that's very, very clean. And I definitely could have gotten like a 5R plus move out of that. So this was the regret of the week. Not even the regret, but the improvement that I could have taken. And then we had Broadcom, slightly beats earnings estimate, sales of lower margin, custom processors, lower margin custom processors are squeezing profitability. Anyway, don't really know what that means. Bad news. So what I'm not liking is there's definitely some weakness which I'm liking, but I'm not liking that we've just set up so many runs and there's so many like smeared, moist levels here that it's gonna be quite hard to get through all of these on not a 10 out of 10 bad news or 9 out of 10 bad news. I forgot to mention, by the way, that BAS volume was quite okay on the day. I think like 350, 350, 400%. That I just got reminded because AdGo's volume was also quite okay, 400%. Yeah, so I definitely did like that. And after we got the news, we had yet another fake break here. So all these mini breaks and fails are very, very clean for the short size. For short side, once we get some confirmation, which was today, this just added a little bit of extra. And then we had a reverse ABCD breakdown, then yet again a break and fail. But now we're holding 9 nicely and we're opening. So once a break down these guys is confirmed, then I think I could easily get an entry to the short side. But yeah, again, moving through these levels. This on one hand, I'm not that happy about it. There's, I think, definitely less downside to the trade like this, price-wise downside. But that being said, if we have like many levels in a single place, then that just means that none of them are standout, unless one is actually standout. But that was kind of my thesis. I think the standout level here was like this 370.89, this initial peak high here. Could argue that this is initial peak high, but I think this is more significant because then we got supported here by that as well. And that's exactly where we got a continuation scalp. So quite risky. But what I am liking about it is that we had a nice move, nice pullback. VP is sort of okay. I'm not liking the the elevating volume, the up move. So definitely would not have taken. Nevertheless, I'm still kind of talking about it because I think it's not a bad trade. But we had what I wanted to say was that we had a VWAP in support of our stop loss. We had a lower high or double top, whatever you want to call it. And then we also had due to the double top another lower low confirming the setup. So there's just like that extra layer of support on our stop loss, which I am liking. We also have a 3-bar player setup on the 5-minute. So it's very, very not very much, but it is compensating for the levels that we're going into. Yet again, since I'm not really even sure what to target, I think this initial peak high was kind of an okay target, by the way. But I think I definitely would have trailed, targeted that and trailed, so I can allow stop because, yeah, possibly though on choppy stuff like this, a partialing system would also be working quite well. So there's that.